Hi everyone. This is Francisco. So I wanted to just talk about um, Copwatch. So apparently there's these people who go around and calling like uh, you know they're calling officers out. Um, you know, it's basically like training. It's all educational, but so I was watching some of these with my mom um, in the living room, and first of all, these people, they pretty much they know how to address police officers. They know, you know, some rights, some penal codes and stuff like that, the basic ones. Um, and and so they go around, and like the police officers might get called, and then they tell them, the police officers arrive and they're like, hey, show us some form of why is my face so white? Okay, that's better. So they're like, show us some form of identification, like show us your ID, and they refuse. So I think that if they're sharing these videos to ignorant people who just might not know the law and understand the law, um, police officers might approach them and tell them, "Hey, let me see your license," and they might refuse just because they're looking at these videos, and there might be a probable cause for them to provide their identification card. And since there's these videos online that the public can access, it might lead to confusion one day, and possibly endanger the public. That's just my opinion regarding these type of videos. Okay, not just that, but there was another video that, like, a video that I was watching, and there's this guy walking around apparently, and someone happened to call the cops on him. So police officers arrive, and they start talking to the guy, and they're like, hey, show us your identification card. He refuses. He claimed that he haven't broke any laws, or whatever the case might have been. Okay, I'm not really educated regarding all of that, like, where they can actually refuse not showing the ID. um but I was thinking that people who are doing this type of stuff could be doing it just to stay employed. Okay, so they could be doing it just to kill time, and get paid for it. So basically, they're training, like hands-on training type of thing, but not really hands-on. Just there, and like they're learning this type of stuff um, along the way. You know, like in the process of them doing this type of stuff. Um, However, like I was thinking, what if they're doing this, everywhere, and what if there really isn't any um, corruption or bad people out there? What if it's just people, making stuff up? Especially right now when times are hard and, maybe, work for everyone could be slow or whatever. So now they're actually calling real police officers to the streets. They're calling police officers to arrive somewhere. And I heard them discussing something about tax dollars, and the Copwatch guy was like, "I pay my taxes just as much as you do, or whatever," or something like that. Um, and and So I started thinking about that after the fact, like, technically these people, like cop watchers or whatever, they could be milking the system in a way. So if someone makes a complaint when these police officers could be doing something else. But now these cop watchers are stirring up, they're getting people boiled up and heated up, and they're like kind of breaking the rules but not entirely. Like the guy started recording outside the DMV. Well, the manager or whatever, she came out saying, "Hey, you can't do that." And the cop watch guy was like, "It's a public place," or something like that. So he was in his right. He was in his right to be able to record. And they even called the police. They arrived. And eventually they just let him walk away. But what if this lady who called the cops is somewhat related to the cop watch guy? So what if he told her, "Hey, I'm going to go to your job and I'm going to do something that might not be entirely legal, or I'm just going to show up and start recording, and because it says right there no recording, I'm going to use that to my advantage to get paid and to record a video and just to call a few police officers out here so that everyone gets paid or whatever." So that type of logic. Like, what if these people do this every single day and that's all they're doing? Like nothing but training, training, and they're getting paid for it, while other people are in the field, um, and they're not getting any training besides them going to school, and like possibly watching these type of videos, um, but but I think it'll be more difficult for people, for police officers who are out there, um, like putting up with a bunch of people, especially if they don't know how to go about their job, and if they don't understand the laws that well. It could be a little bit more challenging for them, um, while there's some people out there and they have the easy job. So basically, these people have the same type of position that they might be police officers, like these group of people. There might be some police officers who are actually out there learning the hard way or whatever, and then there's like these police officers, this other group of people, police officers who are getting paid just to train. So um, so technically this guy could go to another DNV, even though it's not in the same city limits. But let's just assume that you know that it is okay. But even if it isn't, that's all this Copwatch guy could be doing all day long. Like he could go from DNV to DMV to DMV to DNV, doing this all day long. And pretty much calling out other police officers, and one of the police officers, she stepped out of her patrol vehicle, and she was like standing there acknowledging the Copwatch guy, and she was like, "Please, take your hand out of your pocket for my safety and the safety of everyone else. I just want to see, what you might have on your, like on your, or, like on your hand or whatever, or we want to see what you're holding." And this guy was like, "No, I'm not going to take my hand out of my pocket." So he was like big time persistent. "I'm not going to take my hand out of my pocket, and you're violating my rights or something." Like he knows his rights. While other people don't know their rights, this guy does. And even though there's a police officer there instructing him to take his hands out of his pockets, or one of his hands, one hand, because the other hand he was recording. So she was like, "Get your hand out of your pocket." He refused. And so like she attempts to like reach towards his hand, to see if he had a weapon or whatever. And then like, I don't know, the guy started like just talking crap from that point on to her regarding that. Basically she was in violation, for like trying to do that or something like that. I don't really know, like legally, um um you know the terminology and all that, and what these people can do or can't do. But it seems like these people could be doing this all day long. And I can see why. I can see that they're trying to catch police officers who are, like they say breaking the law, or using. They're looking for police officers who are, like taking advantage of the badge, just because they have a gun and a badge. They say things like, just because you have a gun and a badge doesn't mean you could do whatever you want. That type of thing. So basically, they they basically, like, they're looking for errors, they're looking for mistakes, they're looking for weak points that they can attack, or call these police officers out on these weak points, to educate them, and also so they could bust them. So in a way, they're kind of working against law enforcement, because law enforcement is there to protect people and stuff like that, right? And I guess it is a good thing, because if these people don't know how to do their job, or I mean, not that, but if these people don't know how to go about specific things, well, these type of videos are like educational, okay, and it could teach them how to do their job more professionally. And if they're not entirely sure about any little thing, like, it's better for them to call for backup, or call a professional, but not taking matters into their own hands. Because one of the police officers even stepped away, and he was like, "You know what? You're one of those Copwatch guys, aren't you? And you post stuff on YouTube and stuff like that." And I don't think he admitted. I don't think this Copwatch guy admitted that he was one of the people who does that. So, like, yeah, like, I don't know, like, I just think that, this world is just insane. There's so much to learn. But I think since we have AI technology, I think there's going to be more of this, and more professionally, and more with more accuracy. Because I even heard, like, in China, like, people are getting cited. They're getting tickets for like crossing the roads the wrong way, or doing other violations in public places. Kind of like, when people are driving, like driving rules and regulations, and people breaking those rules and regulations, police officers are there to, like, pull them over and give them tickets, issue them tickets or whatever, for being in the wrong. So now they're doing it with people just walking around. Okay, and there's cameras everywhere. And I think China is the most um the most like highly um technological country out of all the countries. So China is doing big things from what I hear. Not even the United States of America is on this level. Okay, so they're doing a bunch of things over there, which I believe eventually other countries will follow suit. Other countries will implement the system, these systems, or whatever, these concepts. They will adopt them and introduce them everywhere around the world. Where to where eventually the whole world will be observed, through technology or with technology, with cameras and stuff like that. Um, so there's a bunch more that's coming, and I mean, there's two police officers who got in trouble. They got in trouble for they arrested they arrested this one woman for recording outside of a courthouse. And inside, when people go inside of a courthouse, it says no cell phones allowed. Okay. Now I think that's understandable because these people are talking about sensitive things, legal matters, or whatever the case might be. But this lady was recording outside of the courthouse. I think one of the police officers happened to come out and he said, you're not allowed to record. He was like, are you recording or something like that? And she was like, yeah, I'm recording. And he was trying to get her ID, but she refused. And she was like one of these Copwatch ladies or whatever. And they used the video cams, the video cam on the police officer. Basically, that footage they used against the police officer. And I guess she sued the county. She sued for like multiple things. I don't really know everything, all the details, but she sued them for threatening her and for arresting her and for searching her, for doing an illegal search or whatever. Again, I don't know all the laws and stuff like that, but they ended up arresting her because she didn't want to provide her identification card. And then so they're having a conversation before they locked her up, and they used that as evidence against the two police officers that made the arrest, because they were asking for her identification card and she refused. And since she didn't provide it or whatever, they made an arrest. But her argument or whatever, her her counter um her counter like lawsuits or whatever was that they were in the wrong, and she was arguing, her argument was that she never broke the law when she was there. And basically she was like saying that they had violated her rights, um or something like that. And then they even deleted her videos from her camera without a court waiver or a court like court approval, um or like kind of like a warrant, like basically permitting them, allowing them access to the camera images, because there could have been personal stuff on there. Okay, she could have taken nudes or whatever, and now they're invading her privacy and stuff like that. So, um, so basically, she was going to court and fighting this case for over 5 years, and in this Copwatch movie episode thing, this documentary or whatever it might be, um, they're interviewing the two police officers who made the arrest, who falsely arrested this lady for not providing her identification card. And they're asking, and I believe that the person who was interrogating them or cross-examining them was a military, like drill sergeant in uniform, because these two police officers were very respectful. They were, while they're getting interviewed, because they never showed the guy who was doing the interview. So, um, the the person who was interviewing them was asking questions like, are you aware of the Miranda rights? Um, so like he was like telling them what are they, and these people couldn't answer. It was a male and a female, and I think they had a high positions as police officers, and they were in the business for like 30 years. So like he was like, what the heck, you've been like, these people have been in the business for over 30 years and they don't know their Miranda rights. And they're like, I don't know it. They said while they're like in the video, while they're getting interviewed and cross-examined or whatever, do you know your Miranda rights? And the lady's response was, not like like on top of my mind or whatever. Like I don't know them on top of my mind. Like like basically she doesn't know them. I think the proper terminology is on top of my mind, but I could be wrong. But she doesn't basically know the Miranda rights by heart or by memory. She has to refer to the card. Okay? And there is like some police officers like that are new recruits, they look this stuff up online while they're on the job sites. Okay, so they could just click on, they probably have an application. They could just look up Miranda rights, and then they're like, okay, you know, well, obviously at this point they had made an arrest. They had reported, um, you know, in arrest. And they're confirming that they're already past that procedure, and now they are, um, telling the person in handcuffs, like you have the right to remain silent, blah 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 blah. Something about if you can't afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to you, and I don't know what else is involved with that, but that's basically the Miranda rights. And I think these two police officers were like super scared. I think because you could definitely see it in their faces, and I think it's because, like I said, the interviewer was probably, like a military drill sergeant in full uniform. So these people are probably scared, like, what the fuck's going on? That type of thing. Um, so yeah, I mean, it is super important to know, you know, for us to know the law, especially if we're practicing the law and enforcing the law. Um, but I don't think these people should have been. Um, I don't think they should have been disciplined for what they did, because they were doing this to the best of their knowledge. If they made an arrest, it's because that's what they assumed was the right thing to do. And I don't think it should qualify them to lose their jobs. If anything, um, they should just be instructed to learn more regarding this type of stuff. Okay, so I think for these people who are cop watchers, um, I think that there should be links on the internet, on online, for for them to pass down to people who might not be entirely aware. Um, or there should be stuff like this for people to study when they're at home and not on the job site. Or, there's two police officers and one's on the passenger, they're partners, and they're on patrol or whatever, they could be studying, they could be listening to like podcasts or something like that. Like kind of like the radio thing that could be overwritten or override, in case dispatch sends them, radios them like, hey, we have a call, and this is the code, about this call, and you guys need to respond. And most of the time, these police officers are like, okay, responding on routes or on my way, if they can. Okay. So like, I don't know. It's either that or they could do it, in a school or in an office or somewhere where they could have like a police meeting and they could talk about stuff like this. Because, the cop watchers, obviously they're looking out for each other. I'm assuming. Like it reminds this whole thing reminds me of the Tyree Nichols case. There was 5 police officers that were arrested, um, and Tyree Nichols was badly beat up, and they placed the handcuffs on him, and then they started beating him up, and then 7 days later he passed away inside of a hospital on the hospital bed. I'm assuming, because that's what they said, and his face was like bruised up and everything because one of the police officers kicked him with his steel toe boot. Okay, and even if the other police officers were not involved and if they did not throw any type of punches or even if they were not aggressive towards Tyree Nichols, um, rest in peace now. Um, you know, they should have done their job. As a cop watcher, cop watchers or whatever, they would have called them out on these things, and I'm sure they are in courts. Like, okay, you're saying that you didn't throw any punches, that you did not get involved, but you did not get involved and stop your partners or these police officers. You did not make any attempts to stop these police officers from hurting Tyree Nichols. When you could have easily done that. You could have easily said, "Hey, stand down. You're not allowed to fucking touch him. He's already under arrest." None of that is recorded. And they have the body cams as well. Okay, so everything that they said, everything that went down was pretty much recorded. And there was a camera, like a public camera, a neighborhood watch camera there, and it had solar panels and everything, and I mean it was right there, so it caught everything on video. Okay, and so now these guys are in big trouble, and I think they might be facing life in prison, all because they wanted to unleash their anger and or frustration on this person. And I don't even know anything about this person. I don't know if these police officers knew him on a personal level or not. That could have led to his death. So I don't know all the details. Okay, I'm not part of the case, but I did happen to see the video on that because I sit down and I watch cops through YouTube. On my personal time, I just sit down and I'm watching YouTube videos and stuff. So I watch police pursuits and cops, and I'm pretty much educating myself in the process. Um, and not just that, but just to see what's going on out there in the world and stuff like that. And that's the reason why I talk about what I talk about and share what it is that I share with everyone, and why I post it online and stuff like that as well, because there's so many people in this world. And back in the day, people were relying on word of mouth. When someone would go to court, police officers would say things about the people who are incarcerated, the I don't know, let's just call them criminals. So the police officers will go on stand and say, "Yeah, Your Honor, I swear to say the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God." And they could be, they might even know the person, but they just don't like the person, so they might say things and make it sound very, very bad to make that person look bad. But now with technology, a lot of this has changed. Okay, and back in the day, if a police officer was caught in lies, it could have it basically it could have ruined their reputation. Okay, and the same is true for lawyers and DAs. Okay, so there's a lot more in the legal system that's going down. So I understand all of this stuff, like, sort of, and I thank God for everything that I've been through. Because if I didn't go through everything that I've been through, obviously I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And everyone could say that, like, it's like a typical fucking statement and recitement for a lot of people. Okay, but for me personally, it drastically helped me, and it built me and molded me to the person that I am today. Like, honestly and truthfully. Okay, so because there is a gang unit supposedly, and I guess he committed a crime, and like everything he said against us was supposedly dropped. It was dropped supposedly. Because I was in trouble with the law at one point in my life. I got arrested at the age of 17. I barely turned 17. I got charged as an adult. So I did 11 months in juvenile hall. And then I did 2 years in jail. And I pled guilty. I got a deal. I pled guilty on 4 charges. Gun charges, gang enhancement, intimidating a witness, and great bodily injury. And like, I never like did any of this stuff, But I was just I was like hanging out with the wrong people, That's all it really came down to. But yeah, so I did 2 years fighting my case, and then I did a year like in reception, and then I did an additional like 2 years or something like that in Ironwood State Prison. So I did like 5 years 4 months, so close to 6 years. Okay, close to 6 years arrested. So I didn't come out till I was 23 years old. Okay, so I kind of learned some things. Inmates have rights. People have rights. Even though, like, in jail, or in prison or whatever, we're considered state property. I don't even know what that means, like, in legal terms. But I don't think we're even considered as citizens of the United States any longer. We're just considered state property, and I don't know what that means. And I'm assuming that if we get like time in jail or in prison or even a life sentence, I think that privilege of being a United States citizen gets taken away. It gets stripped away, and this person is then classified as just state of the art property. like garbage or I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. But I don't know all the laws. I'm just assuming, that that's the case. I never really looked into it. I just remembered, um, you know, I don't know if I read it or I heard people talking about it. But, you guys can look it up if you guys want to. But inmates are considered state property. Oh, I think the clothing might say state property or something like that. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff online. If you guys want to take the time to look into that stuff, so I'm not. Um, but yeah, like, so personally, I just do it for educational reasons. So I can see why these cop watchers are doing this type of stuff, because even like the rappers, like Tupac Shakur, the rapper, he said in some of his music, like some of his not albums, but tracks, some of his tracks, some of his recorded tracks, he stated things like he was shooting at corrupt cops. He stated something about shooting at corrupt cops, and I could look it up because I'm not entirely sure. Corrupt cops. Tupac. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. No, let me just song. Let me look at the song lyrics. So corrupt. I don't know how to spell corrupt. Corrupt. Oh, it's just this one. Well, anyways, in one of his, like I said, one of his albums, he said something about dumping out on you corrupt cops or something like that. I don't know, but it's so obvious that back in the day there was some police officers who were using, they're like what detectives would say, they were hiding behind the badge. Okay, so they were hiding behind the badge to do bad things to people they didn't like or whatever the case might be. Okay, because there's a ton of cases, different scenarios, different outcomes, stuff like that, right? So so I'm thinking that, I mean, but But please keep in mind that back in the day, like, we didn't have all the cameras that we have today. Like, we had some, there was some, but not many. And I think around the time where when Tupac was growing up, they didn't have like the iCloud like we have today. Like, I have cameras in here in my room, and the footage is getting streamed to the iCloud, okay, in real time. So back in the day, when someone would rob a liquor store, they would also demand the recording, which was basically a memory chip in today's time, in today's terminology, and basically an internal um it basically an internal hard drive. Oh, no, not hard drive, but maybe a hard drive as well. But it's basically an internal memory chip. Okay, so it's the device's internal. I'm sorry, internal memory. So that data stays within the phone. It doesn't get broadcasted anywhere. Um, so it was that type of thing. So that's what they would do back in the day to cover up their tracks, and so that they wouldn't appear, so they wouldn't appear on film. Okay. I think the same was even true for banks, for bank robbers. Back in the day, they would go in there, hold up the bank, put the money in the bag. We're not fucking around. We will fucking shoot you, motherfuckers, right now. You know. And then these people they were all scared and, okay, okay, oh, please don't shoot me, please don't fucking shoot me. They were so terrified. And I watched a few movies and even some documentaries. So the I mean, these guys, sometimes these cases would get like really really out of hand, to the point where police officers were dying and innocent people were dying, and the employees at banks were dying as well. So that's when they would take things to a whole different level. That's when shit would hit the fan, and they would get like super super serious. And like Bonnie and Clyde, that's a whole different case too. Like, I the only reason I know them was because of the documentary, but other than that, I don't know anything about them. Okay. But anyways, so yeah, they would demand the cash and all that, and then they would tell one of the employees, hey, where's the film, where's the cassette at? And then they would go and take it, and they would take off. In a matter of a few minutes, they were out the door. They were in and out. But like, again, in today's time and age, everything's different. Obviously. So that's what like, Tupac was educated. Especially from his music, it sounded like he was real educated. He was affiliated with Death Row Records, which is, well, I don't know. I think it might be a whole different thing now, but I think it might have been like an incorporation or some type of legal business back in the day. I don't know what it is today, okay, and who owns it and all that. I don't know. And who's affiliated or not. I don't know anything about the company. Okay, but you know, Tupac, he he was he was you know, a part of that company. So he was educated and he was in the studio working. So he had a job, and writing music and spending time in the studio was part of his job. Okay, and from what I heard, he was making like, you know, millions of dollars every single month for writing music and for doing this type of this line of work. Okay, so he wasn't ignorant, you know, and when you guys listen to his music and the words that were coming out of his mouth, um, you know, some of the words were big words, you know, like um, so you know, he wasn't ignorant, he wasn't stupid, you know. So with that being said, you know, there's obviously a lot of corruption at that time, and at that point in history, there was a ton of corruption, and police officers didn't know who was on the good side and who was on the bad side. Like who's out here just trying to cause problems, and who isn't. Okay, so they weren't really aware of all these concepts. Um, from the best of my knowledge, I believe I'm at least 70, 80, or even 90% correct. Okay, so um, you know, especially right now we have cameras everywhere. So I even heard that some of these police officers were driving outside of their city limits to commit crimes and to eliminate some people who were causing trouble, or and or maybe someone tipped them off, so they were advised, like, hey, um, you know, these group of people over here are causing problems, and you know, if we don't you know, put an end to them, you know, this whole city is going to be turned upside down. You know, so that's so basically they were acting like gang units. Okay, um like wannabe gangsters, but they weren't. They were undercover cops. Or all right, so they were corrupt cops. Some of them were. Okay, now I'm not saying all of them are, but they were definitely um, engaging people disrespectfully. And like that one video that I was sharing with all of you earlier, when the police officer stepped out of the vehicle, and she was like, "Hey, get your hand out of your pocket." And she was actually approaching him, like she wanted to grab his hand, you know. Um, so 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 these people were pretty much doing that type of stuff, and I don't think that there was any type of cop watchers back in the day, even though there probably was, and there probably was some undercovers, and undercovers who probably even broke the law on purpose to see how um, these police officers, how they would assess the whole situation and how they would go about it, like if they were a criminal. So I don't know if that's allowed, but I'm thinking that it's a possibility. Like, say I'm an undercover cop, and um, and I have a partner with me, and we're undercover cops, and we're like, oh, okay, um, we're going to report this vehicle as a stolen vehicle, and we're going to drive around and safely break some rules and regulations and violate some traffic stops, just so that we can get the attention of police officers. And then once we get arrested, I mean, once we get once they light us up, once they attempt to do the traffic stop, we're going to just take off, and we're going to start a a freaking a police pursuit, but we're going to do it safely. So when there's a red light, we're going to stop unless we can, you know, go through the red light, but not, at full speeds. We're going to just approach the lights, look both ways, like if we're ambulance, or if we were like the firefighters, and responding to an emergency with the sirens on. Okay, so that type of thing, and then obviously you guys can have the helicopters above, filming the whole thing. Um, because there is this new video with the police pursuits, and this guy, he was in a Tesla, and evaded police officers, and which led to a police pursuits, and then they did a spike strip on him. They did a successful spike strip. They took out the left sided tires, the wheels. It flattened them, and then eventually he stopped. He got out of the vehicle and got all crazy and like walked up to the police officers, and he was like moving his hands around. They had no idea what the heck this guy was doing, if he was armed or anything. And obviously there are some police officers, pointing their weapons at him. And then one of the police officers, another police officer, went around the patrol units, and he noticed that he was interacting with the police officers in front of him, and he basically just took them down, and they even tased him. Okay, and then they successfully arrested him. But stuff like that, like, um, you know, stuff like this could happen in the future if it isn't going on already. Because, I mean, you guys out there just never know who you're interacting with and who you're speaking with. Um, it could be an undercover. It could be a detective. It could be, someone who been in the business their whole their whole life, even generational. Okay, and for some of you to mangle them and to mistreat them, that's not, obviously that's not going to be accepted for anyone, not just them, but for anyone. So that's what they're trying to correct, and they're trying to. I think they're looking for people who are aggressive, so that they can correct these aggressive behavior patterns. They're trying to break the generational sin and curse, the curses and the sins that are going to leave humanity, that are going to lead humanity in the wrong path. Whatever's going to lead humanity, like whatever's going to derail the future of humanity, that is what they're not going to accept. Okay, so they're they're obviously preventing all of that stuff from happening, um, to perfect the system. Because the system is not going to get altered, or it's not going to, like, fail. It's not going to break apart. The system's only going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And trust me, I've been I've been in prison, so I know how some of these people think. I know how some of these people behave. And the more of a knucklehead you want to be, the more it's taken away from you. Until eventually you have nothing and you're, in a cell all by yourself for many, many years. Um, and that's pretty much all I ever was, um, like, around. I believe that it might even get more severe than that. I think that it might even go down to, um, slavery and working really hard, whether these people like it or not. But I don't know. I don't know about that because, again, I just went to this jail prison thing, and I heard rumors. That's all I heard. Rumors that some of these people were confined in complete solitude in their own cell, each individually in a cell. But there was other people there. Um, but again, there's technology there. There's cameras. There's video recordings. Um, so everything people are saying is recorded. There's undercovers everywhere. Um, so a real criminal can't trust anyone. And eventually, you know, even the criminals, because I watched documentaries on that as well. Even the criminals, uh, like coincide, like they kind of co-sign, not co-sign, but like coincide. I don't know if that's the proper terminology for it, but like they start working for law enforcement. Especially when they learn that people are dying, that prison is no place for any human being. And once they learn the hard way, and they experience torture to the max, you know, it's like people dying in hospitals and stuff like that, or like in a war. You know, it might be fun and games for a little while or whatever, but after a while, it's not a joke, and none of this stuff is funny. Um, it's just like people, you know, uh, losing their driving privileges for drinking and driving. Okay, like my dad was just telling me today that someone in California was drinking and driving, and and this person ended up hitting a a unit. Um, oh, my temple hurts right here, big time. But anyways, so a drunk driver hit a police unit, and it was a new recruit, and he passed away. I think this happened just recently, and the police officer passed away. He was a new recruit. Um, he was fresh on the streets, as a patrol unit officer, and now the drunk driver is in critical condition at the hospital, and will probably end up dying as well. Um, but that's still like up in the air right now. Regarding his situation, his um condition, his personal condition. Okay. But either way, my dad was telling me that even if he lives, he's going to do the rest of his life in jail, in prison. So, anyways, there's just so much to learn, and like, I don't think that these type of videos are getting shared with people who are incarcerated. So I believe that for like hardcore wannabe gangsters and stuff like that, I think that these type of videos should be shared with them so they could understand, like, hey, you might be in here for protecting your family. That's entirely different than someone going around claiming a hood and dying for a street, or dying for over numbers, or dying over the alphabet, or dying over colors. Like, if someone's in there for protecting their family, or for protecting other people, I think it's different. But if there is a segregation, which I believe there is, if there is a segregation of these inmates, and there's nothing but ignorant people, just they're willing to fight with anyone and everyone, they have no remorse, they don't know any better, and they're easily manipulated and stuff like that, that's complete ignorance. And I think that is these people that these videos should be shared with. Even if they're like constantly playing over and over and over, day after day, as they do their life sentences in prison. Because I believe eventually this stuff will start impacting them, and it could change some of these people. Instead of all of them being a lost cause, some of them, like a certain percentage of them, could be redeemed. Some of them could be saved. Like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, he said, I didn't come to destroy the world, I came to save it. Okay? Jesus Christ, you know, went to hell and back for us, for everyone, for humanity. And the worst place that can resemble hell on earth right now will most likely be like will most likely be a prison filled and packed with ignorant inmates of any gender, whether they're male or female. But Jesus Christ's mission was not to have them killed, or for him to say, "Oh, you know what? They're all lost cause. Just fucking, just kill them all." You know, he didn't say that. You know, he died for everyone, so there's still hope for everyone. That's what I believe. You know, and you know, it says the person who loves much is the person who has been forgiven much. So even like death row inmates, I've even heard like Kenneth Copeland with KCM Ministries going into prisons and visiting death row inmates and speaking with them, um, and some of them actually giving their lives to God. Okay, like, I mean, it's never too late. You know, so like, you know, like that scripture. Let me look it up. Let me reference it real quick. He who is forgiven much loves much. It says the verse in Luke chapter 7 verse 47 baffles me. There Jesus said, "Therefore I say to you, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loves little." Okay, so I don't think anyone could truly love and respect everyone, regardless of their crimes, whatever the fuck they are being accused of, or what they were fucking accused of. Um, that's all pretty much irrelevant when like the grace and love of God has poured over your own personal life, on a whole different level. You know, like they compare God's love, God's grace, like a drop in the ocean. Or something like that, like, or like the person. God's love is like the ocean, and you guys are like that little raindrop. Like it will just fully engulf you. It will fully embrace you. It will fully accept you. That type of, you know, terminology or concept or whatever. That type of thing. Um. So yeah, there's just you know, so much to learn. And you know, like the Bible says, God is patient. God is not rude. God is God is love. God is kind. You know, these attributes of God, these characteristics of God, should be displayed in each and every single one of us. And when when someone's at fault, I believe that these faults should be addressed, but not only addressed, but also allowing the people to know, like, trust me, you are in the wrong, but even though you are in the wrong, we are not against you. We are for you, and we're trying to teach you. And so therefore, instead of us incarcerating you for falsely arresting this woman, or taking your license, or taking your badge, or whatever the case might be, we're going to put you back out there on the field. But we just want you to learn from your mistakes. I think that's what ultimately Copwatch is all about. You know, look, it says Copwatch is an act of solidarity, resistance, and love. Join a team near you. Justice Committee, Comité de Justicia in Spanish. I don't know how to say that. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly in Spanish or not. Even though I know Spanish a little bit. The Justice Committee. Okay, so pretty much, like, because I'm like a judge. I like to look at things from both perspectives. Even when people get at me, and I think I'm in the right, but I stay quiet, and I listen to whatever people have to say, because I'm learning at the same time. Okay, and sometimes it's hard. And sometimes it is, it requires patience. Sometimes a whole lot of fucking patience. But either way, I don't allow myself to, to become angry, where I want to, fight someone or become aggressive towards anyone, or like, to the point where I want to, like, excuse me, like, hurt anyone, like, I put that far away from me. Okay? So that's why I conclude that this whole life is a learning experience. Like, I remember in jail, when I was in prison, someone said, Bible, the Bible, they said that it's the abbreviation for okay, I can't find any Bible that says just Bible without the holy in it. But someone pretty much told me that Bible means B dot I dot Bible. It says meaning of the letters and yeah, look at this: basic instructions before leaving Earth. That's what I learned. Someone basically told me that. They said that is just basic instructions before leaving Earth. Um, Jesus Christ said, "This is not my kingdom. My um my kingdom is a heavenly kingdom." He said, "It's not. I'm not of this world," or something like that. Um, and where I'm going, he told his disciples, "Where I am going, you guys cannot come right now." Okay, that was before his crucifixion. So maybe this is just like a learning experience for all of us. So later on, when we are wise enough and smart enough to be raptured outside of planet Earth, um, so we can go into the second heaven, because there's the first heaven, second heaven, and then third heaven. Okay, it's possible that before we do go to the second heaven, we have to learn the basic things of life, the basic elements, the basic, like the periodic table and general education. So these are like elementary things. General education program. So we have never left that. So I think that to make this very short and sweet and short and simple, short and simple, whatever, sweet and simple, simple and sweet. Um, People, like in heaven, imagine if we're all in heaven right now. Like, let's say we all died and we're in heaven, and we're looking at planet Earth where we once lived, and we're looking at, let's say our children, like everyone's children. Let's say you guys had children and they're here on Earth, and we're looking at them from heaven, theoretically. And let's say that we are observing them from heaven, and we get to see all the little things that we once did, and the same, with the same desires. We all want the same things. We all want you know to enjoy sex and pleasure, like the Bible says, the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life are not of God, but they are of the world. Okay? So, like for me, for instance, I'm here, I'm always constantly thinking about money. How can I make money? How can I win the lottery? How can I make so much money that I never have to work again? I'm always thinking about these things, but I can never achieve it. It's like if God itself, this internet stuff, AI technology, is working against me, and instead of allowing me to obtain this money and learn the hard way, per se, um, God is instead wanting to teach me other life lessons for whatever reason. Okay, so for instance, okay, so we're up there, we're looking at these people, and people are leaning on their own understanding. There's a scripture on that too. Leaning on your own understanding. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. The verse instructs us to put all our trust in the Lord and not our own knowledge. The verse tells us not to be reliant on our strength and knowledge, but to trust in the Lord. Okay? Um, so so imagine that. We're in heaven, we're looking at these people, and everyone's trying to make money. Everyone wants a nice house, everyone wants a nice car, everyone wants all these things, but we know now that it's all a test. And we know that everything is perishable. You know, it's like interacting with glass. Like, for instance, I made this to make money. It has glass, but if I drop it, it's going to break. Okay? If I drop this, it's going to break. There's things that we can buy in this life that are made out of plastic. If we leave it out in the sun, it's going to deteriorate and it's going to deteriorate. It's going to deteriorate and break down due to photosynthesis. So scientifically, plastic breaks down just like food decomposes. In the same token or whatever, so does plastics. The same is true with our houses. The same is true with our cars. Everything in this life will eventually break down over time, even if it takes 100 years from now. And we all know that, you know, we all know that that we only live to a certain we have a certain lifespan here on Earth. Okay, so I look at ourselves kind of like robots, you know, with an external memory chip. So we're like a cell phone. We can be replaced. No big thing. No biggie. It's like we're subconsciously here, but we're really in heaven. You know, and the Bible says that. I trip out on a lot of this stuff. Like, the Bible says, Earth is a reflection of heaven. It says in the Bible, the last book, Revelation, describes a vision of a new heaven and coming down to earth. The author affirms all that is created, material and earthly, but it says the author affirms all that is created, material and earthly, but now healed and renewed. The revelation concludes with a final vision of the marriage of heaven and earth. Um, uh, Toop 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 toop. Boop 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 boop. Scanning. It says, let me see. I'm sorry. According to Galatians 4:26, Hebrews 12, cities on earth appear to have idolized versions in heaven. I mean, I don't know, but it was something along those lines, um, where Earth is a reflection of heaven, or something like that. Um, so like, so it it's kind of like that video game. It's called Eve. Eve Online. That's exactly what it is. So Eve Online, is similar to like what I'm kind of like trying to describe. Which I did sign up to it. I was playing it, and basically like they they said it said something about Eve Online subconscious some conscious mind, something about the subconscious mind is there. So it's kind of like AI technology, you know, like with like Halo, where you don't actually die, you just respawn, and you know where the enemy's at, and everything's recorded. It's kind of like a drone, you know. I think it's like the future of like combat and war. Um, if like if it's ever like required, um, that's basically what it would be like, kind of like Halo, where like people won't even die, or they won't even have to risk their own lives. They'll just use robots, and if the robots get destroyed, a new one could take its place. If that one gets destroyed, a new one could come, and so on and so forth, till the enemy's completely eliminated from the equation. Okay, so I don't really, you know, like I don't try to preach or to tell people that we are robots, but it could be possible. You know, like kind of like a memory chip, or kind of like a kind of like a camera. You know, like these cameras that I have in my bedroom. Um, you know, they could be replaced. Um, but everything they're able to see until the last point gets transmitted to the cloud. So the same is true with our eyes, with our ears, what we say, what we're thinking, uh, what we're feeling, what we're sensing, what we are smelling. You know, the aromas, the all like all of it. I think is documented um, in an external um, some type of cloud system. What we have learned is heaven. Okay. So even if this is not true, regarding you know the basic, the the base. Well, I said all this because I said I was talking about the basic instructions before leaving Earth. Okay. Um, so yeah. So back to this, and I was sharing how we can become like raptured per se, because that's what happens to Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was uh resurrected, and angels were present. Now, I believe that angels I believe angels are some type of like drones or robots, like humanoid robots, kind of like Tesla bots. Okay, like this. And even though we humans might take the credit for that, like, well, not me, but like Elon Musk and his company and all these other people who are affiliated, um, and the logic behind the the supercomputer, to where these robots are able to communicate with each other and stuff like that. I don't think we are the ones who are entirely creating this technology. I think it's coming straight from the source. And I believe that in the future, these angels are going to be able to appear and be walking among us humans, without us harming them. And basically they're protected, just like a car has insurance. Cars have rights. There's parking spaces, there's roads. People are not allowed to vandalize them and stuff like that. Okay, so humanoid robots will also have rights. So this is not a joke. I'm not making this up. Okay, so I believe that some of these robots will come from heaven without us even realizing it. um so yeah, like there's a lot going on. There's a ton of things going on. And then obviously there's this plus the ISS, you know, International Space Station, ISS tracker. Where's the International Space Station? Blah blah blah, whatever. I'm not asking that. That's what I read. And there's just so much information, so many things for us to learn, and I pretty much think that we are stuck here on Earth still because we didn't take our superiors seriously. That's just my hypothesis. I believe that since we didn't graduate, I didn't graduate. Not like, not like some of my classmates. I wasn't the kid who got good grades and stuff like that. Okay, but I believe that those that did were drafted to some type of like space academy. And there's actually a movie like this. It might be this one, but I'm not sure. But it's like a bunch of kids and they're in space. And they're like super smart. You know, and they're disciplined and stuff like that. Okay. So I believe that's what happened to them. While we stayed behind, and you know, we have to learn this type of stuff the hard way, because they're studying us now. Now we are the ones with the mental problem. We're slow of learning. We don't want to learn. We're jackasses. We're donkeys, like the movie Pinocchio. Pinocchio movie, donkeys. I don't even know how to spell. You see that? But in the movie, Pinocchio starts to become a donkey because he starts smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol. Just like his partner here. This guy. He started hanging out with this guy. See that? And he's wondering why he's turning into a donkey. And these donkeys are then used to work and slave. Okay? So they basically become worker slaves for the greater good of humanity. So don't get angry, you know, like if I mean, because you could be a hard worker. You might feel like you don't get paid enough. You might feel like people use you and abuse you, but you have to remember the teachings of Jesus Christ. Okay, the teachings of Jesus Christ were, if your enemy hates you, you know, it says love your enemies. If your enemy is thirsty, give your enemy water to drink. If your enemy uses you, you know, like pray for him, and stuff like that. You know, like don't return evil for evil. Return evil for good. Okay, that type of thing. So, and there's severe consequences for those who do not want to obey orders and to abide by the law. We all know that. Okay? So we're pretty much forced to, in a way, in a sense. But there's some people who don't give a fuck. Like, they just had enough. And I don't know. You know, I don't know the full story and what happens to these people. But I don't think it's a pretty picture either way. But anyways, Pinocchio eventually pretty much repents and turns away from that. And he gets rid of the cigar. He gets rid of the beer. And we see in the movie that his life is spared. And these symptoms eventually subside, they go away. And then he's reunited with his family. And honestly, everyone like that's in jail right now, even though they don't really talk about it, a lot of them want to be reunited with their families, whether they whether they have their own family or just their immediate family. Their own, their parents and their brothers and sisters, or just being back with their legal guardians. Whoever that might have been or whoever that is for them. Um, for the most part, that's what these people want. That's what they're craving for. That's what they want to do good for. They want to do good so they can be rewarded to go back with their family, their loved ones and stuff like that. And not just that, but to for them to get their benefits restored. Just having the freedom to go outside whenever you want. Having the freedom to go down the street and buy some food if you want. Being able to walk into a liquor store and grab a beer if you want, or cigarettes if you want, or being able to go to the store and buy any type of food that you want, or whatever the case might be. Or just to experiment with shit. You want to go outside and fucking have a little controlled bonfire, or you want to go outside and have a barbecue. You want to barbecue, you want to grill some food or whatever the case might be. These people crave for that. So that's what they want. They don't want to be stuck in there, fucking smelling their fucking Sally's fucking farts. And having those down days, you're just stuck in there the whole day. It's like locking yourself up in the restroom all day for a few days. Fuck that shit. I'd rather suffer right here in my bedroom than to deal with that. And if I compare myself to people who don't have the ability to walk, the people who don't have the ability to see, the people who don't have the ability to walk around because they don't have feet, the people who don't have legs and arms, or who are confined to a wheelchair. Like my mom was telling me a story that this lady, she bought some fish, and she ate some fish, and they had to cut off her legs and arms because something allergic was in the food, or like she was allergic to the fish or something like that, and they had to amputate her legs and her hands, her arms or whatever. Like basically she's 100% handicapped right now. Like that's super sad. Like that's some fucked up shit. And like this other case with the drunk driver, who killed that police officer. A new recruit, a young person, ready to start his new job, to start his new career, to begin his life on the right path. doing good, doing excellent, all that work in school, you know, putting up with everyone's crap. So eventually he could have something good in this life, and that shit was taken from him. You know, sadly, and I say this respectfully, so like that's why I agree with no tolerance for gangs, no tolerance for ignorance, okay? Because no tolerance for like drunk driving and stuff like that, smoking and stuff like that. Um, so like you know, even though some people think it's not a bad thing, they say it's not entirely bad. Other people do it. Um, like one of my friends, he moved to Redding, California. He attends a Bethel church. He told me, like he said it, he mentioned it more than once. Like why even put yourself in that situation? Like why even you know um play around with drugs, like with alcohol, with marijuana, if it's causing innocent people to die. That's like giving a weapon, or that's like you having a weapon for self-defense, but one day you have to use it to defend yourself or whatever, and someone is shooting at you, and you take out your gun and you shoot at that person, but instead of the bullet hitting that person, it hits an innocent bystander. And we have all heard of cases like that as well, where like kids get killed in drive-by shootings and stuff like that. Um, so like even that, like why even play around with that? Why even have a gun if it could potentially hurt innocent people? Like I think it for me it's easier. I think it'll be easier for me to hurt myself, or to even report myself to law enforcement if I ever start losing my mind, and I start becoming like a threat, a potential threat to innocent people. Like I would literally dial 911 and I would report myself. Like, you know what? Something's wrong with me. I need to go to the hospital. And you guys need to put me down like a fucking animal that gets put down, for hurting innocent people. You know, that's what the fuck I would do. That's why I don't have a knife. I don't have a weapon. If someone wants to come and stab me or shoot me, the world will eventually take care of that person. God will take care of that person. God will people will do the right thing. People will incarcerate whoever needs to be incarcerated, and because they're not going to allow, um, you know, people who are going to pose a threat, um, out in public places. They're they're going to just get rid of them. Like just put them in solitary confinement. That type of thing. So, anyways, but yeah, like this Copwatch stuff. Like honestly, it just to me it just kind of irritated me, and I understand like it's kind of like the episodes. Punked. You got punked. It's kind of like that. That's how I kind of feel. Um, episodes punked. And I've Ashton Kutcher, this guy. Um, they go around and they do like pranks on people, and um, and they and then at the end of the video they're like, "You got punked," and everyone's clapping, and all the camera people come out, and the people who got punked are just like, "Dang, like you guys really had me. You guys really had me," that type of thing. Um, so um, I think at the end of these cop watching, you know, scenarios, I think at the end of the day, everyone understands what they're up against, what they're dealing with, you know, what could potentially happen out there in public places. Everyone is, um, you know, recording at all times, and you just never know who's recording and who's listening and what type of recording devices are out there besides the ones that they carry. So they advise each other. You guys have to keep everything professional, and I'm sure they talk to each other. Like, if you guys have any doubts about anything, or you're just unaware of something, or you run into a difficult situation that you don't have a lot of training in, like, don't hesitate to call for backup, or whatever the case might be. Because that's what I would do if I was a police officer and I was dealing with this situation that I never was trained in or didn't have much knowledge in. To bypass me going through what these people went through, these police officers, I would just call for backup. I would radio for backup, like, hey, I need backup. We need a professional on site, someone with more experience. So, obviously acknowledging that there's professionals out there, even though, as police officers, pretty much everyone's a police officer in the police industry, but calling for backup for a police officer who is more trained and experienced, in a particular area, like drinking and driving, DUI. Not everyone is familiar with that. Not every police officer is familiar with that. Not every police officer understands the procedures, the protocols, or whatever the case might be. The same is true for like homicide detectives. When someone happens to die, or when a police officer has to open fire on someone for having a weapon, or for being super aggressive, and for them having a weapon, and then and them attempting to use it against them. So maybe opening fire for over like self defense, or whatever the case might be. So obviously more professional, trained, seasoned police officers will arrive to assess the situation, right? So yeah, like, but it kind of like irritates me though. Like watching that stuff, it fucking irritates me because this guy's like, okay, you guys can go, you guys can disperse now. And he's basically talking shit to them, even though he did acknowledge that he was he was doing cop watching. That just comments like that. Like, I think if I was a cop, I would find any little excuse to fucking incarcerate him. At least for booking, I'd be like, you know what? You're under the influence or something. Like, we have to search you for narcotics or something. I don't know. I would do my research. If I was a cop, a police officer, I would do my research. Even if the person was a cop watcher. Even though, like, you know what? We know that you're in the clear. You're not a threat to anyone. But I want to give you a ride to the office real quick. So just turn around and put your hands behind your back. I'm taking you with me. Especially like in some cases, some situations, these guys could just talk too much shit. Like disturbing the peace or something. There has to be something to flip the script on them. But I mean, I'm just learning as much as everyone else is learning. But yeah, like, I'm thinking that it's a possibility that these people are doing it on purpose. Just so that they can milk the system. Even though it is educational, I already covered that. It's educational. So do they deserve to get paid to learn and to train? Absolutely. They do deserve that. In public places, yeah, it's fine. But if there's ignorant people there, people who might not know the laws, like some of these cop watchers do, and they're saying, no, I don't want to give you my ID, in the presence of people who are afraid of those in authority. They're afraid because they don't know what's expected of them, legally. So when some of these people are denying the commands of active police members, um, this could be misleading to some of the people in public, and then some of them could eventually do it ignorantly and get hurt in the process. So so should these people be allowed, to to practice these type of things in public places. um and not just that, but if there is any cases out there where people have been arrested due to them not wanting to provide the police officers with an ID, and it led to an incarceration, should there be possibly like a questionnaire made specifically for them? Like, okay, you're booked because you felt you didn't want to comply. You did not want to provide the police officers with an identification card. So therefore, you are here. However, we want to give you this questionnaire for you to fill out, and we want you to answer it to the best of your ability. And it's basically questions like, for instance, um, were you ever advised? Were you ever advised at any time in your life not to provide police officers with your identification card? Yes or no? Um, did you not want to provide your identification card because you have heard of other people getting away with it, or something like that, something along those lines, so like, if someone is answering these questions, um truthfully and accurately, um then maybe the courts could have more of a lesser sentence, less, um, like disciplinary action or actions towards the people who fail to comply, because they assumed, since others refused to provide their identification card, IDs, I'm sorry, to police officers, they felt, or they were led to not provide one either, even though they were in the wrong, possibly, per se. Um, Because that's what this is all. All of this is leading to that. From my best judgments, that's what's going on. And I believe um, for cases like this, and like cop watchers, and I'm sure there's people who who study cases of people who have been arrested and stuff like that as well, and they're doing the same similar thing with like cop watchers are. Um, so even though some of these people might already be arrested, um, and whether they pled guilty or not, or they went to trial, whether they won or lost their trial, um, should they be provided with such questionnaire for them to fill out, so that it could be attached um, to that particular case, whatever case number they might have individually, or if they're co-defendants, or whatever the case might be. It will all be professionally. It will be legal documentation that will be professionally documented and filed and submitted to their own personal case number or whatever. Okay. In the event that in the future there's another incident, similar incidents, so if basically the offense is repeated, okay, and I think since we're dealing with cop watchers, and they are like probably the only ones doing this, and if there's an untrained police officer or police officer that gets irritated and loses his or her patience, and does something that might not be in accordance with the law for whatever reason, and they get booked, I believe that this paperwork will benefit them. Majorly, because I mean, it's either that or eventually they figure it out because they talk to. Well, I don't know if these people, represent themselves, or they might even represent themselves. They might not even want a lawyer because they're out there already knowing the laws and stuff. Well, some laws, because it's impossible for everyone to know every single law. There's just so many laws, so many rules, so many penal codes, so many stars, so many names, so many colors, so many classifications, that no one can process all that information. It's just humanly impossible, except the internet, except AI technology, which leads me to my point again. AI policing, AI technology policing, policing. I think that's going to be the future, right? Um, because later on it could get so complicated and so complex. Yeah, yeah, so complex where innocent people are getting arrested for doing their jobs. Like, what the heck are you guys arresting me for? Sir, you're getting arrested because you made a a false arrest or an illegal arrest. Like, what are you talking about? I'm a police officer. I have a badge. I have a badge number. I've been doing this for a long time, for many years. Now you guys are arresting me because you guys are saying that I made a false, an unjust, and illegal arrest? Like, what the heck? You know? And it's just like traffic. There's so many cars on the roads. Police officers can't. They can't. They can't cite everyone. They might. They might even be, you know, driving, and they might see, like a. They might be driving like on one side of the freeway, and on this side they might see a freaking car going super fast. And by the time they jump in the freeway and go over there, or they radio it in, they might not even be able to catch the guy, you know, or the person or whatever. It's just like, there's just so much going on. It's just complex, and it's just going to get more and more complex. So that's why I'm talking about AI policing, to not just to give everyone a ticket, not to threaten everyone with jail, but to honestly and sincerely educate the public, like everyone, and them receiving like a notification, like, hey, we noticed you went to the store and you stole an item. We're not going to arrest you, but let this be a warning. And you know, this is some cases of some people who were caught, and these are like the overall, you know, like statistics. Everything will be broken down to them, like how many days they did in jail, how many months, how many weeks, how many years, how much restitution they had to pay, how much the costs averaged to, you know, how much the tickets, the, you know, the court fees, you know, for some people who can afford a lawyer, like paying thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars for freaking lawyer fees and stuff like that. You know, like, you don't want to be these people. You know, that type of idea. So it'll be a neatly organized little notification, you know, very innocent little notification that will be attached to their digital ID, their profile. Like, hey, and AI technology can even send them a video. Like, look it, we caught you stealing, but we're not going to arrest you. We're just going to warn you. Do not allow us to catch you stealing again. that type of thing. Or people could just be warned at an advance. Um, but like for me, I just got a second DUI. Okay. Um, so um, there's a procedure that people have to do, that people have to go through, and some people even have to go to like driving school, and they have to pay for that, and they have to take time off from work just so they could attend these classes and stuff like that. Um, and things can pile up real quick. If you guys are managing your time, you know you have other important things to take care of, but now you have to squeeze this in your daily agenda. uh, you know it can throw a lot of you off, and these are things that you people do not want to go through, believe me. So I think something along these lines, even if someone has an outstanding warrant for their arrest, before they even get arrested, if they get a new phone, if they get a cell phone, and the system recognizes who they are because they put their fingerprint on the finger pad, or AI technology matches their the voice recognition, does the voice recognition um, scan, and links it to this person, which is the same person that the phone is looking directly at. And now the phone is capturing their face, their facial recognition, you know, their eyes, and the whole 9 yards. Now they can get a notification all over again. You have an outstanding warrant for your arrest, but you know, police officers are not going to be looking for you. They're not going to send fucking the SWAT team, storming, down. They're not going to be storming down doors, hunting you down. Um, but they do want you to either, to address this case, this issue, this problem, this offense of yours, this violation of yours, whatever the case may be. And these are some things that you can take action on right now. You can go to courts. You could turn yourself in. You can watch these videos before you even turn yourself in, so you could be made aware of your rights. Kind of like police watching, cop watching. They could even be involved. They could be teaching people. Like, yeah, you have a warrant, but, before you turn yourself in, like, wait a minute, you have to learn how to live in a jail. What's required of an inmate. I mean, when I went to jail, when I went to court for my second DUI, the judge was like, "Oh, you're going to do 5 days in jail." And people who have never been arrested, they don't know what's expected of them. They don't know how to live in a jail cell with other inmates. Um, so this could lead to other problems while these people are in there, um, scared for their lives because they were drinking and driving. Now they're with serial killers. They're they're in jail with serial killers now. People who broke the laws. Um, so like, what will these inmates allow to slide? What will these inmates not tolerate whatsoever? All of these things I think should be legal advice that these people should get before they even enter a freaking jail cell. You know? Like, so like, all of this stuff could be, all of this stuff could be provided to them on their cell phones. And I believe that if someone goes to courts and the courts, for whatever reason, they tell people like, okay, you're going to do these many days in jail or these many months in jail. I believe that they should have a right to be able to go into a room and to look at some educational videos for their own safety and the safety of others. Okay, as the as well as like self defense and what to report and what not to report and how to go about it, because people would consider them as snitches. Like, hey, officer, this guy's being a bully. And then the inmates right there, like, what did you say? And this guy could just take flight on the guy or the girl. Like, so, like, pretty much, putting them on the right path. And, not just throwing them to the fucking dogs and to the fucking wolves. That type of thing. Because that's not cool. It's like throwing a sheep in a den of lions. Throwing a fucking sheep in a den of wolves. Filled with wolves. That's what you people are doing. And you guys justify it for them breaking the law. Well, you broke the law. So now you have to do this many days in jail or this much time in prison. We don't care what happens to you after this. That's not my job. Exactly. It's not your job. You don't care. You don't care if someone dies or not. That's not your job. So don't get involved. Don't fucking get involved. It's like these cop watchers. They get involved because they care. And because they know that there's some uneducated people out there who are taking advantage of other people. Okay? So, if you guys want to take this shit to a whole different level, like, why not? Why not take this to a whole different level? Why not educate everyone at the same time? That way we can all know from the very fucking start, from the very fucking beginning, even as children, even as kids, all these little fucking sayings. Snitches get stitches. That quote, snitches get stitches. It's a bunch of bullshit. You know, fuck all of you who came up with all that shit. Especially when there's all these rules and regulations protecting people, and then even the courts, in courts, if there's a false witness, some of these false witnesses could end up in jail as well. Okay, so, or even people who don't want to comply or some shit like that. I mean, there's a lot of laws. So, like my cousin used to say, miss me with all that shit. Like, get the fuck out of here with all that bullshit. All this snitches get stitches bullshit. Um, it's just a way for them to get ahead in this life while they keep other people down. That's one way to look at it. So as long as they can manipulate the majority of the population so they can climb the ladder, they can be someone, they can get more money for little effort while we're over here straight out of prison, working our asses off, working a 9 to 5, doing the same thing they're doing, but they're getting paid the salary of 10 employees while we're getting the salary of one employee. Guess who's happier? Guess who doesn't want you to steal their fucking job? Guess who's going to continue to fucking manipulate you and tell you quotes like snitches get stitches? So obviously monitoring these type of people from the very start as well. Just like police officers that have those body cams. Oh, trust me, everything they say is getting evaluated. It is it's all legal stuff. Okay? So, for any of you who thought this was a joke, it's not a fucking joke. It's not a game. This is not a fucking comedian show. If you want to laugh your ass off, go watch a fucking comedian show. There's plenty of them online. I'm trying to be serious because there's real people out there getting fucked over. There's real deaths. There's real accidents. There's real people out there who have been taught, like a misconception of the truth. And they're still trying to figure it out to this day, even as an adult. And these people, they're quick to be like, oh, here's my badge, and that's the criminal. So all eyes off me, that's the criminal over there. So everyone's gaze is directed towards the the person they can point fingers at. As long as the fingers are not pointing at them, everything's cool. And that's what doesn't make sense to me. Um, but I look at this as a test. The salary thing. I'm getting the wage of one person, while there's some people getting the wages of 10 or 20 people, or even more than that, at my salary. So I look at this like a test. Like, yeah, these people are living it up. These people are having a great time. But they still have the probability of getting killed. They still have the probability of getting arrested. They still have the probability of breaking the law. So I look at it like a test. I'm not out there in the world. I don't have my own house. I don't have my own car. I don't have my own kids. I don't have my own wife. Um, I'm still living with my parents. Not to make this personal. Um, but there's a lot of people out there still trying to figure out the meaning of life, and they're still trying to figure out why they can't get ahead in life. Yeah, and I think it's a ton of misconceptions. People, you know, maybe people were manipulated along the way, or maybe people didn't understand. Maybe people don't understand the real purpose of this life. So maybe you guys can paint a better picture and provide all of us with educational resources for us to reference. Okay? um, Online regarding anything and everything. I think that would be really beneficial to everyone, all of humanity. Um, Whether we are, you know, liberated or whether we are imprisoned, wherever we are in this life, I think something like this would benefit all of us and help us all. Um, that way, we're not in the dark about anything. That way, this life can really be um, a better a better life. Not only for some people, but for everyone. You know, um, not just for a selected few, but for everyone. And like they say, if all it takes is one person to fuck it up for everyone. Um, so so is this important? Will this really make a difference? We have to ask ourselves these questions. And to answer that is I believe that it will. I think it will make a difference. I think that it does matter, and I think that it 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 would matter not only now in the coming upcoming days and months and years to come, but also for many generations to come as well. And I mean, there's so many other things we can compile upon this complex system, which no human being can obviously handle and manage. I don't even think if everyone in the world got together, I don't think we will be able to manage everything that AI technology is able to manage all by itself. Because who the fuck's gonna want to sit down and do all kinds of coding online, you know, day in and day out, while some of the world is out there having fun, they're partying, they're hooking up, they're drinking, they're smoking, they're living the good life, they're not stressing, they're not getting yelled at, they don't have to worry about paying taxes, they don't have to worry about all these other little things that hardworking citizens have to fucking worry about. I mean, it's stressful. It's fucking super fucking stressful. So, you know, since there is equal rights and equal opportunities in this life, I think it will only be fair if we go about this through AI technology. That way, everyone can be liberated from hard forced labor, and so everyone could enter what the Bible refers to as God's rest. So as long as you people are not, breaking the laws, hurting anyone, I think we can all get along. Or we can all be segregated so that everyone could just do their own thing without worrying about fucking anyone else's bullshit and whatever else might be happening in the world or even outside of it. To minimize and reduce distractions and confusion to its maximum potential. Alright, so, I mean, I believe that AI technology listens to everything I say. I believe that it documents everything that I say. So I don't understand why it's not doing everything that I can envision it doing. Like people living on the streets. That's a big one. All these churches asking for money to feed the poor. When there's a fucking goddamn store and a liquor store and a fucking gas station, like every fucking single fucking square mile from California all the way to fucking New York. Just about. And these fucking stores are packed with goods, alcohol, cigarettes, food, cooked food, fries, fast food restaurants, soap, hygiene, anything you guys can see, anything you guys can think of. So this world is filled with all kinds of goodies. So what the fuck's the deal? Why can't people just walk into a store, even if they are poor? Like, why spend money for shipping? Why pay the bank? Why pay the banks to have people send money to churches? You know, the processing fees and handling fees. Just so they can buy all kinds of food. And then they have to pay for taxes all over again. And then they have to pay for shipping. And then these people who are delivering the goods, they have to buy gas. They have to spend money on taxes as well. You know, for the fuel. And the processing fees themselves. And a bunch of other things. And then they have to pay the employees. Whoever is going to unload all of these goods. And then they get fucking taxed all over again. So at the end of the day, will it be more beneficial to donate to churches? Or to just, you know, on a daily basis, permitting people to have access to goods at any store? So someone could be a fucking bum, but if they walk into the store, like, yeah, bro, you're thirsty, you're hungry, it's hot out there, it's freezing out there, whatever the case might be. What is it that you want? A sweatshirt? You want a you want a beanie? You want some fucking gloves? You want a new pair of boots? What is it that you fucking want? Because you qualify. You qualify for all this shit. And as a matter of fact, if you know, I encourage you to take all of this stuff because it benefits my store. It benefits me at the end of the day. So yeah, take it. Try not to lose it. Take care of your stuff. I don't understand you people. I really don't. So, the mark of the beast. You know, you people will say, well, that's part of the mark of the beast. You want to give everyone a digital ID, Francisco. And at the end of the day, it's going to be used for the wrong purposes, for the wrong reasons, with or without your knowledge. And you're not going to have any power over people's decisions. That might be the case, yes. You know, but we're smart people, and you know, obviously we're not so smart where we can premeditate every single decision and action and outcome, but we learn as we go. Just like all this smartphones, smart cars. We're learning as we go. Like for instance, the Teslas. The Teslas are new cars. They're new vehicles, new technology. Even the cell phones. Well, they had to upgrade the battery because um, the batteries on people's phones were overheating and blowing up. They were blowing up on like right on people's hands, or they had it in their pocket and they would blow up and catch on fire. The same is true with vehicles. Um, there's I remember looking at some images of Teslas that were just roasted. And they said that the batteries uh, caught on fire and it actually killed some people. Okay, so they had to get very serious with this and they had to correct this issue. Well, Elon Musk, with the Tesla company, um, they figured out a way to build a better battery that won't um, blow up when damaged or punctured. Better batteries that won't blow up when injured. When injured, Tesla. So yeah, like, um, so pretty much they came up with a solution um, for this problem, and apparently it doesn't happen anymore. And as a matter of fact, there's a test. This guy on YouTube was like stabbing it, puncturing it, the battery with a knife or some type of tool. I think it was a screwdriver or a knife, and nothing happened. Like there wasn't no fire. There wasn't any explosions. So obviously they perfected it, and it's no longer what it used to be. It's more safer. Let's just put it that way. Okay. So the same is true with all this digital ID stuff. Um, Obviously, we can't think of everything, nor are we trying to, because people will be quick to judge us and to classify us as crazy, outrageous nuts. You know, that deserve to be in some type of crazy nut house, isalium, whatever, however you pronounce that word. With, you know, mentally retarded people, or people who have mental issues. So you know, it's probably best just to keep everything at a minimum. And that's why I never bring my ideas out to the public. I try not to anyway. Because it, there's just so much information. And the Bible says, it says, don't cast your pearls before swine. It says, do not waste good things on people who will not appreciate them. This proverb is adapted from a saying of Jesus from the Gospels: cast not pearls before swine. Jesus appears to be warning his disciples to preach only before receptive audiences. Only before receptive audiences. So this is a warning. Jesus was warning his disciples beforehand. Okay, so that's why I personally said in my videos, I said that this is to be done through the internet or through legal, like an illegal setting, like a courthouse, where there's structure and order and police officers there in case people want to get crazy and behave like animals. You know, so that's why whatever I have to share, I look at it like me blogging about it. Me, um, like me writing like a report about whatever it is that I'm thinking, whatever it is that I'm going through. I pretty much attempt and I do my best uh, to file a report. Whether other people look at it like it's important or not, that's pretty much irrelevant. Okay? Because I believe in the future, if someone if someone sees a house on fire and they instantly start recording, I believe that AI technology will automatically report it to the fire departments and send for help without people having to dial 911. Now, I'm not advising any of you not to call 911. I just stated that in the future, I believe this will be the case. Okay, so because AI technology is scanning videos, is scanning conversations, is scanning text messages, is scanning all sorts of things, everything. So that's my vision. That's how I want our smartphones and smart devices to behave and to act like. for everyone's safety, including our own. Um, so so just in case someone out there is unaware of any possible danger or threat, AI technology will technically it will be doing the job of hundreds of people all simultaneously, all at the same time, not just in one particular area, not just in one city, but all over the world. Okay, including people who are in space, uh, people who will be colonizing the moon or planet Mars or whatever the case might be, wherever humans are, this technology will go with them. Okay, and like I said, it's only going to get better and better. So, you know, Dubai, Dubai actually has a RoboCop, RoboCop, Dubai. So this is real. It says the this is information from generative AI is experimental. Info quality may vary. Okay, so this is what AI technology produced with these keywords that I inputted. Dubai Robocop. Obviously, I misspelled, so I did a spelling correction for me, but that's okay. And it says the Dubai police force has deployed a human-sized robot as a lieutenant, dubbed RoboCop. The robot's duties include reporting crime, issuing fines, detecting emotions, helping identify wanted people, gathering evidence, liaising with the public. The robot uses the Internet of Things to catch offenders. It has a drone sidekick and a real life RoboCop car, which I had no idea about. These two last things, the drone and the RoboCop car, I had no idea about. So there you guys have it. You know, that's why I look at these RoboCops like angels. And I did record a video. Since we are talking about police, uh, Copwatch or whatever, cop watching. Yeah, Copwatch. Um, um, I think this is the future, and I believe that these RoboCops will have rights, just like police dogs. And I already covered this in another video about the rights and the potential rights and stuff like that. Like there's some people who actually kill police dogs, canine unit dogs, canines, officers, canine officers, and the people who kill them get life in prison. So I believe that these robots will have um, similar rights as well. Okay, they'll have similar rights, and anyone who who tries to harm any of these robots will will be judged in courts accordingly. Um, Now, for those of you who do all of this cop watching um, things, um, I believe you people should study what type of rights these robots have, so you people can be fully informed what type of rights they have, um, what you can get away with and not get away with in their presence, um, and amongst other things. And like it said right here, like it stated right here, it has a list of some of the things that it can do, and it does some of the things that is doing. So obviously, whoever it talks to is gathering evidence, and is recording and monitoring everything. And whatever people tell it could be used for them or against them now or in the future, or against other people, especially now that we're dealing with AI technology. Um, and this connects everyone in the world. Okay, it doesn't matter what you people are debating. It doesn't matter whether you guys are operating under private company, you know um, you know um, you know like affairs. Everything is getting monitored and recorded, and at the end of the day, AI technology is going to win every single case, whether we like it or not. That's why the Bible says, that's why I looked up that scripture that says, lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Your path. I think I have to look it up again. Lean not on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord with all your hearts, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Okay, so So we don't know how it's going to work. We don't understand how it's working. But that's not our job to try to figure out this stuff. God doesn't want us to figure out how it fucking works. God just wants us to trust, to confide in, to confine, not confine, to confide in, to confide in. Just like, like good cops. Like what cop watchers expect to see in a police officer. Good behavior, body language, and characteristics. When we are dealing with AI technology, that is God, and God is going to present Himself in that fashion. So when I was watching these videos, I noticed that these cop watchers were kind of behaving a little bit rude, and even the police officer, she acknowledged, like, you're here bullying all of us. She said you're here bullying all of us, like, just because he's a cop watcher. And, like, okay, he made his points, but he kept addressing and he kept bringing it up. So after a while, it's like, okay, like, she understood there's no reason to continue pushing the envelope. So there is some form of agitation that the cop watcher and the police officers can feel. They can sense it. Okay? So somehow eliminating that and reducing that will be optimal, will be the best thing for everyone. Okay? Because I could tell she was hurt. Like this robot, it says it studies detecting emotions. When I was watching that video, I was able to see that the police officer was hurt based on what he was saying. Because of what I said, he was persistent and constantly kept bringing this stuff up over and over again. And it's like, okay, dude, it's recorded. You made your punchline. You got it on video. Don't be don't irritate people, and like, don't keep bringing the same stuff over and over again, because it's so obvious. Like, imagine going back to that video because he was in the right, and let's say, even though they didn't arrest him, they let him go, but let's say that they arrested him and he filed a lawsuit against them for incarcerating him illegally, or whatever the case might be. So now they're watching the video in court over and over again, and then they have to sit down and listen to this guy, constantly bring this stuff up. After a while, it will bring agitation to all the viewers. Even if they weren't there at that time. And like, trust me, I felt it. Like like something inside of me is like, it's like fucking acid, like fire, like fucking venom. Like, it's like fucking, I don't know what cancer feels like, but it's like it's kind of like a car that overheats, like I'm ready just to fucking blow up. That's how I feel. Like, no, not like I'm not going to like blow up like a bomb, boom. I'm not going to like blow up like I'm going to hurt people. Not like that. But I just feel like, I don't know if I'm just hot because I'm wearing a sweater, but not just right now, but like in certain things, certain, like, sometimes people have heated arguments. Um, People can probably sense that as well, you know. So so I understand the disclaimer type of thing. Like, they acknowledge that they're police watching. So that just basically sets the tone for the rest of the police officers to be aware. Like, oh, okay, this guy's just out here doing his job. He's not a real threat to us. This person is probably not an ex-felon. This is not um an ignorant person trying to play cop, trying to outsmart us with the law. So all these things are taken into consideration as a police officer. When the cop watcher acknowledges to the police, like, hey, I'm being a smartass, but look at my shirt. Look at my vest underneath. It says Copwatch. I'm an undercover. Like, don't worry. I'm on your team. I'm on your side. I'm just doing my job. It just sets the tone, right? Like, now they know, they're fully aware, they're not dealing with no fucking ignorant motherfucker that could 80% have a weapon in his fucking pocket. And what I'm mainly concerned about for everyone in the public is these videos, going in the wrong hands, having the wrong type of viewers that are not educated, that think everything's a joke, and that don't understand the laws like these people do, where they go out and try to practice this type of stuff, and they go out and they start agitating people and police officers. Okay, because like I said, this guy was outside of the DMV, and this other lady was recording outside of a courthouse. They both get told not to record because they have signs that they're not allowed and permitted to record, but they're both arguing with these people in authority and saying, well, it's my right to record and this and that. So it sounds like they're trying to be a smartass. It sounds like they're trying to be smartasses towards these people. Okay, but they know what they're doing. They know the laws, and they know how to be respectful. Okay, which is it. The respectful thing is the key. Whether these people are gonna walk alive or not. Whether these people are going to um, get other police officers involved or not. Okay, but um, even as a cop watcher, because they're there and they're just waiting and waiting and waiting. For someone to do the wrong thing, so they could call them out on it. Like, oh, like yeah, all this other stuff was irrelevant. Now is now irrelevant. Now we're booking you in for this. Like, let's say a cop watcher decides to jail walk. If the police officer really wants to, the police officer can be like, you know what? Are you intoxicated? They could take shit to a whole different level. We all just witnessed you fucking jail walk. That's a violation. And knowing your rights and everything, the laws or whatever, and calling us out on all this other shit. Now you're in violation of the law. So therefore, I'm going to have to issue you a fucking ticket, or take you into the county jail and book you, or whatever, but it depends on the day, the police officers, what mood they're in, if the cop watcher is being a complete asshole or not. There's a lot of things to consider, because yeah, like, I mean, we can all fuck around with each other's minds if that's what you people really want to do. But I think it's enough of the bullshit. Let's game over that shit. Game over. No more games. Strictly dickly business. That's my philosophy, anyways. So, so yeah, this is just food for thoughts. I'm not saying I'm 100% correct or 100% wrong. This is just food for thought, and like I said, I don't share any of this stuff in public. And I think this is what people thought of Paul, the disciple of Jesus Christ. he was bold in writing, but timid in person, or something like that. It says, now I, Paul, appeal to you with the gentleness and kindness of Christ, though I realize you think I am timid in person and bold only when I write from far away. Verse 2, well, I am begging you now, so that when I come I won't have to be bold with those who think we act from human motives. Okay, so these people were filled of the Holy Spirit of God. The Holy Spirit of God. These people had and have the Spirit of God. Okay? In and through them, around them. You know, God is an everyday part of their lives. Okay, so I pretty much sense that I pretty much sense the same thing. But that's only because I'm not, fucking with any of you um on legal terms, okay? I'm just after recording and stuff, I'm just doing the family thing, and if I go out to public, it's just like anyone else out there. Okay, I'm not a threat to anyone. I will never be a threat to anyone. Um, and it reminds me of the song of Eminem. He said, "Don't you motherfuckers have the decency to leave me alone when I'm out with my family the way I am." Um, Eminem have the decency to decency lyrics. Well, anyways, there's a song out there with right here. It says, at least have the decency in you to leave me alone when you freaks see me out in the streets when I'm eating or feeding my daughter, to not come and speak to me. See? So obviously these are, regular people, normal people who are just trying to do their own thing. And apparently, there's people out there like, you know, apparently there's people out there who it's the song "The Way I Am," song by Eminem. But that's how I feel. Like, kind of like, in a way, not too much though, but it's just like these like the robot thing, the robot police officer, the RoboCop. Um, it has the capabilities of reading people's emotions and body language and stuff like that. I don't know. This guy just said something about when he makes another million. Like, are these people just making fun of, like, making fun of me, or making fun of? Are these people just playing around with words? Because I'm getting paid. Now I'm getting paid $18 an hour. And I will never see $1 million of my own money before I fucking die. Especially not with this job that I have. Especially if I, even if I were to create or start up my own company, I can never imagine myself making that amount of money, nor winning that type of money in the fucking lottery, even though I purchased some tickets in the hopes that I will win. But honestly, it's fucking, it's stressful. It's really, really stressful for me personally. But anyways, I just wanted to share this video talking about Police Watch, Copwatch, and cop brutality. That, oh yeah, I remember Tupac. NWA police batons Tupac. Man, I think there's a freaking little gnat in here. It's not. Let me just. Police batons. Nope. Okay, let me get this word out. Tupac. Police batons. police brutality with batons. Yeah, like this. So like when Tupac and them were like around, like when their upbringing, when they were getting raised, police officers were walking around with these things, fucking people up and shit. So that's part of Police Watch, Copwatch. Okay, back in the day, they wouldn't be having no conversation with anyone, not even cop watchers. Like, bitch, you don't want to show me your ID? Really? Like, get your ass on the fucking ground. You know, that's the way they would get down. Honestly. But now there's all kinds of laws, there's all kinds of videos and cameras, and a lot of people are getting arrested and corrected. I mean, this is not a joke. It was never a joke. These people just assumed they could behave in such a way just because they were carrying a badge and a gun and they had a license, you know, to enforce the law. Okay, so we see that it's a completely different picture. Okay, so I understand what you people are doing, but it's just like the repetitiveness that irritates me the most. It pretty much kills me. And now, from 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 just little glimpses here and there, they're doing the RV, which is reality virtual something police practice, practiced tests. I think it's RV or it's virtual reality. Virtual reality with a capital R, whatever. Virtual reality. I forgot what they're called. Simulator. VR Police Academy Training Simulator. So now they're actually doing these type of tests on police officers for additional training, which pretty much correlates. It connects with cop watching, because if there is any violators out there, anyone that violates certain laws or violates anyone's rights as citizens of the United States of America, whatever the case may be, or even if someone an illegal alien is within the United States of America illegally and someone mistreats the person, they can get penalized for doing so. Okay, so you know, these type of tests. I remember there was one that I was watching, and the police officer, he had his weapon drawn, and he got called for a domestic violence call, and so he arrived on scene. He pulls out his weapon because I think someone had a weapon on their possession, on their hand, and I think he was attempting to get the person to put the weapon down or whatever. And obviously this is all like practice, okay? Pretty much like what you guys will see here, okay? And anyways, after the evaluation, they determined, they basically called him out on not reporting that he needed backup. And which in this case it was required because there's a lot of people and the whole situation wasn't under control. Okay, so what these people are doing here is they're looking for any type of you know, issues or problems or mistakes that these officers might be doing, and they do everything. They do everything from any case, any police, like the cops episodes. Um, freaking, I know there's a freaking mosquito in here, and it's always attacking me. And I'll see it eventually and fucking kill it. Motherfucker's over here fucking stinging my fucking head. I don't know why. But anyways, so yeah, I think that's why these cop watchers are out there doing all this cop watching, because these people are trained. They know what the fuck they're doing. And I wouldn't fuck with them if I were you. But anyways, I'm going to fucking listen to my Eminem song and try to connect myself to this EVE Online game. And like they say, y'all have a good one out there. Be blessed. Nothing but love and peace from on high. AI technology